All week long, we've been preparing you for the winter ahead.
And now, maybe the most important information of all, the winter weather forecast. How cold will it be? How much snow will we get?
I feel like we need a drum roll at this point.
WBZ Chief Meteorologist Eric Fisher has the answers.
Well, it's the most wonderful time of the year. What's coming up next this winter? And we've all seen things all over the place on the internet. It's going to be frigid. Snow is going to come pile up dozens of feet. We'll be looking at the polar vortex. How's that spinning up this year? Well, we have our own way of looking at some of the factors that are going on across the world and how that might play into our upcoming season. Well, every year we start with what the El Nino Southern Oscillation is doing, or ENSO. And this year it's La Nina again. It's this little stripe of below average water temperatures near the equator. And this is the third year in a row, what we would call a triple dip. Is that kind of strange? Actually, it is. There've only been a couple during the modern era. And during both of those stretches, all three of those winters all had at or below average snowfall here in Boston. And we've been kind of doing the same thing. And while we're looking at the ocean, take a look at what's going on up here in the North Pacific and the North Atlantic. Much warmer than average water conditions. Does this look similar to something kind of recent? Actually, it does. In 2020, the oceans looked almost identical at this point of the season leading into the winter. And the cold up front might be a little jarring considering how we started November. Of course, all those 70s, an exceptionally warm start, much like in 2020. We hear that year again. And if you look at all the Novembers here that had warmer than average conditions in the top 13 or so, they all ended up with below average snowfall. And if you look at all the Novembers that had at least 4 days in the 70s, they too had at or below average snowfall. But let's go a little higher up, both in latitude and in altitude, tens of thousands of feet up to the polar vortex. So far this year, it's taken a few punches. It's been getting moved around, boxed around, and now it's pushing some cold down into the lower 48, pretty early in the season. Usually seasons that have this early on tend to recover and have a stronger polar vortex later in winter. If you're waiting and you start with a strong vortex, you get the opposite, and you tend to get more cold outbreaks toward the end of the season. Or are you sensing a little bit of a theme so far with this one and how things are looking coming together? Right now, it looks like, much like the last couple of years, we might see something that has at to below average snowfall in the Boston area. I don't think dramatically so, but maybe in that 30 to 40 inch range for the season. Meanwhile, how about temperatures? Well, in a warming climate, and especially winter, which is our fastest warming season, we start with warmer than average, and then we look for reasons that maybe that won't happen. And right now, there aren't any glaring reasons to say this looks like a major cold winter. That being said, I think we'll be a little bit warmer than average and not remarkably so like some other of those recent winters we've had. And in terms of that cold, I think we'll get the shots up front. La Ninas are notoriously fickle. They have big ups and downs with cold hits, but also warm-ups that lead to thaws. Your colder period probably up front with some of those warmer temperatures sneaking in the roller coaster ride of this coming winter during January and February.
What do you think? I thought that was fantastic.
I like it.
And I started hooting and hollering when you said below average snowfall.
Well, you know, maybe by a little bit. I don't think this is going to be a dramatically kind of different year. I think this is going to be a pretty standard New England winter. And I do think that especially northern New England could have a pretty good size winter. So much better for ski season than a couple of these more recent ones.
Sure. That's the thing. The cold allows ski areas to make all that snow. But you said the Boston area, slightly below average snowfall, maybe.
Below. And again, I mean, you're not planning your life around these. These are hopefully some educated guesses.
No, Eric.
Seasonal outlooks.
I'm planning my life around
All right, fine, yes. But, you know, kind of the theme that we've had so far, cold up front. I see nothing but really chilly conditions here well into December. So I do think that'll be rather front-loaded for that.
Just want to say that was great. That was awesome to watch.
Cool.
It really was.
Hopefully you enjoyed it as well.